In this video, I will show the third method for submitting partner monitoring data, also known as 3W, from Excel into the country module. To support this process, we have prepared an Excel uploader template, the one that is here. The template includes many of the same validation rules used in the other submission methods we presented in earlier videos, but this time is adapted for Excel. Because Excel files can be modified easily, formulas may be overwritten, and validation rules may stop working. For that reason, it is very important not to change the structure of the file. For example, do not rename column headers or sheet names, do not change the order of columns, and do not modify existing formulas. If you do, the upload is likely to fail. With those precautions in mind, let's now walk through the template. The country module Excel uploader contains 5 different sheets. Let's go through them one by one. The README sheet is a quick step-by-step guide on how to use the uploader. The reference sheet is a read-only sheet that contains reference data that will be used in the entry sheets 01 and 02. These are usually updated by clusters before the file is shared with the partners. OCHA and clusters will first refresh this sheet using their own authentication keys to come in here and refresh these data to retrieve the latest reference data, such as log frame and other relevant data from the country module. Now, let's move to the entry sheets. Entry for projects and entry for indicators. These two sheets both are where the project leads and implementing partners enter data. Blue columns are always mandatory to be filled, such as project name, implementing partner, up to global cluster, and then admin 2 and or admin 3, depending on the country. These two fields, as you see, it's going to be fetched automatically once an indicator is selected. In addition to this, the measurements should be added in the periodic and the cumulative measures. And in between, there are several other columns that will be only need to be filled based on the definition of the as defined in the required disaggregation column. So for example, if that is required for agent checks, then these fields should be entered. If it's about cash, then these fields should be filled, etc. We'll explain this in details later in this video. Import indicator sheet. This is the sheet that will be automatically populated with the data added in the entry sheets 01 and 02. And that's later, this is the sheet that you're going to use to import it into the country module. Now, copies of this uploader template are first shared with OCHA country offices. They will add the relevant country database, the admin level for the data that which need to be collected, and the language. Once added, then they are going to refresh the queries to fetch all the data that is the reference data that's available in the sheet, including the log frames from the country module. OCHA then shares the template with the clusters, which can also refresh the sheet if at some time they updated their log frame or data within the country module. Next, clusters will share the workbook with project leads before passing it to their implementing partners. Project leads need to complete a few simple preparation steps, such as adding the relevant project's data in the 01 entry project sheet. Of course, here they will be provided with the link from the clusters to the project form that need to be filled first before entering these details here and selecting their name and their implementing partners for later entry into this sheet. After that, filling out this main basic data, the project leads can share this workbook with their implementing partners. Implementing partners, they can use it to prepare their implementation data and upload it directly into the country module using, as we explained earlier, in the import indicators. Before proceeding, I recommend watching the project registration video, as project registration is the first step before you can use this uploader. It would also be helpful to watch the other videos that explain the recommended methods for submitting your data directly into the country module online before deciding to use the Excel uploader. Let's now look more closely at how the loader works, step by step. Step 1. Start with the 01 entry sheet. As explained earlier, project leads need to complete the 3 tables provided. In the first table, enter the project code and project name. You can add more than one project. And to find this information, go to the country module and open the project form. We already included a link here, and we recommend clusters also to add the link here to the project form. If I open that form here, I can see that this is the project code and this is the name. So I take the copy of the project code and project name into this form here. If your project, however, has not been created yet, you can simply do that first and then come back here. To do so, in the open window, you simply just create the project, add the project detail as explained earlier, and submit the record, which will create to you a new record here. Once the projects are available, copy the project codes and project name into the matching columns in the uploader. In the second table, enter the project lead, and that's where you need to select it from the available list of project leads, and then add all your implementing partners. Now, open the 02 entry indicators sheet and add the monitoring period. So, example, these templates need to be shared to collect the data for June. Once this setup is complete, the workbook is ready to be shared with implementing partners, so they can add their contribution into in the indicator entry sheet. Step 2. Partners wanted to report based on the Excel shared by the project lead. As implementing partner, you need to select the project and select your name for each of the actions here, and then the clusters. For example, if the selected project include education and multipurpose cache MPC here, the drop-down list will only show these tools available for selection. If you try to choose a different cluster, such as nutrition or any other cluster, the system will block you from doing that. Next, select the activity, then choose one of the available indicators used to measure the activity. In some cases, additional fields such as global cluster may also need to be completed. You will see once you add an indicator that the required disaggregation and the unit are filled automatically. The required disaggregation is used to inform you which columns to be added. As you see here, this one, it shows this indicator is a non-cache and it is to collect data at admin 2 level. In this case, I should only fill in the column admin 2 and there is no data regarding cache that should be filled. Now, the last thing for this record, for example, to fill in is based on the indicator unit is the measurements, the periodic and the cumulative measurements. The measurements, as we explained before, should strictly follow the indicator units. In our case, for example, this is about institutions. So this should be the number of institutions maybe has been trained or maybe has committees established, etc. But shouldn't in any way be confused other than what the indicator unit states. Also, another important things regarding measurements that they should follow also strictly the monitoring period. So for example, if we are talking about June 2026, it means the periodic measurement should include only the progress that has been made for June 2026, while the cumulative measurement will include the total progress starting from the beginning of the year until the end of June. One important point to mention, if you change the value in a populated column, the new value must still be valid. If it's not, related cells will turn red. Like if I selected multipurpose cache activity will turn red. If I actually select now an MPC activity, its indicator is wrong, and so on. Step 3. Once data has been uploaded into the sheet entry indicator, the corresponding import sheet will be populated automatically. Now let's do the import from this Excel into the country module. How to do that? Simply copy all the data, including the table headers, as you see here me doing, and copy it. Then you go to the country module and open the project form. Identify your project, like this is the one in my case, and scroll right and select the 3W form, which is called Data Indicator Monitoring Disaggregations. Once opened, click on the import and then select the paste data. And here you can paste the content you had copied from Excel into this upload window that opens for you. Then click continue. Here, it shows me where there are problems. And apparently, there is one value that's missing, which is a global cluster, because it's a mandatory field. So in this case, I go back here and go and update this field. And then I'm going to add this global cluster here. And then in this case, I have to go back and copy the data and press back here and then re-paste it here. As you see, the problem has been fixed. Then some columns might be irrelevant, such as this one. In this case, you just simply go here and click ignore this column. I'll go left here. This column also, I'm not talking about cache indicators, so that's why this need to be also removed or ignored. This also can be ignored. And now I'm ready with no issues reported in the import, so I can press continue. As I see, the system will show you a summary. How many records were matched, how many records are newly added, and in our cases two, and how many are duplicated. One thing to keep in mind that even if you have updated your data later on for the same monitoring period, for same location, for same activities, etc., you can go and upload this and the system will not add duplicated record. And instead it will actually update the existing records. Now I can run the import. So I press import records and then the system will show me that I have already added two new records. One final reminder, follow the required disaggregation for each indicator and each CNET when you fill out this form. This is very important because the import will fail if this hasn't been followed, because all the country module setup is based on these fields. As you can see, this template includes standard columns and fields designed to align with the global guidance and reduce the reporting burden on partners. If further adjustments are needed, however, clusters or partners can adapt the template to fit their needs. But this requires extra work, including update, updating both the entry sheet here to include any other new data that they demand to have, but also they need to add this new column to be imported into the country module from in this sheet. The only required first step is to register the project online in the project form. As explained earlier, after that, the rest of the reporting process can continue in Excel that needs then to be uploaded into the data indicator monitoring disaggregation form. As a final note on this method, although this Excel uploader includes many formulas and checks to support consistent data entry, it doesn't reproduce all the features of online reporting. Adding every online function would make the file much more complex and easier to break. That is in addition to the fact that Excel formulas can be overwritten very easily. For these reasons, this method is generally less recommended and less reliable and should be used only when it is genuinely needed and should be done with extra care.